Why is art so important? That's a great question. I mean, I love life. I love thinking about things. Really an amazing question. You see this bulldozer? I always drew. Well, this to me is like my mind. Trying to define art, it's a device used to plow through the endless forest of ideas. We have a forum. I'm not afraid to get into that seat. It's not about pretension and then see where the journey takes me. This is just who I am. As long as you don't have fear, I need to express it. As long as you really believe in your ideas, that's what makes it important. The machine can actually take you places, metaphorically speaking, of course. And I think everyone feels that. What is the essential point of all this? What is the point of art? And what is the point of view of a human being? The value lies in the fact that there's an individual perception of what life is. Everyone has something to say, and I think art is the perfect format to say it. Here's the key, if I had to describe myself in one word. I would say sponge. And what I mean by that is I try really hard to absorb ideas from around the world and from many, many different sources. And then I try to filter that in and understand it. You want to be able to put a spin on it and make something unique unto yourself. What do you have to say? What is your viewpoint? So I try to make intelligent, thoughtful work. A lot of art is criticized for being superficial nowadays, that artists don't have anything to say, and that the educational levels have fallen to such an appalling rate that it shows in the work. I disagree to some point. But I am troubled by the situations that are going on in the world, and as an artist, I would be remiss if I didn't comment on them. Part of that is how I feel about nature. It's a point of taking the knowledge that we have and applying it in some way. I love technology and I love civilization, but I feel that the balances are now tipping in such a dangerous degree where we're polluting and ruining the planet that it's going to come back to haunt us. We have to find that balance between civilization and nature, and those two ideas combined will lead to a higher quality of life. When I was a child, I always drew. I just took to it. I don't remember a time where I didn't. I think I got it from my mom's side, who did a little bit of painting, and my dad said when he was a kid he drew. I didn't have any formal drawing lessons. I just found that I could draw things. Paper and pencil were my main outlet. I was a very quiet, introspective kind of person. And so, through the art, I found my voice. I sought the truth through surrealism. comment on anything hiding in plain sight through my art. But one style wasn't enough, so I branched into many styles of art. Caricatures, photorealism, cartooning. But who was I? Am I the art, or is the art me? The artists that inspired me range from the classical artists to the more contemporary ones, but they're there. The influence is there. I definitely looked at a lot of different styles, which absolutely influenced the way I drew and looked at art. But there's also a fear of emulating them too closely. So I was also careful not to overstudy things. To me, it's all about identity. When I go to make a film, or when I write a story, or even when I draw or paint, it starts off with an idea that I don't even know where it comes from. And so, that's the beginning part of the process, the identity of the artist. The artist puts himself into the work, and whether it's a science fiction story or a documentary, something must be preserved. That when someone watches the work, they recognize a piece of who the artist is and what he has to say. The stories in my films have changed considerably from when I first started, although you could reasonably argue that some of the subjects have stayed the same. Science fiction still is my main love, and I still do science fiction.
Sonak, prepare to launch a probe directly at our point of entry.
Probe's ready, Captain.
Launch probe.
Readings coming in now, Captain. Sensors cannot find any familiar extragalactic objects which it can recognize. Few external galaxies are visible,
Due to the cluster of stars we are currently in.
So what you are saying is, first, we are no longer in the Milky Way galaxy. And second, the computer can't even determine what galaxy we are in.
That's right, Captain.
Any theories?
It's obvious that the Hannibal passed through one of the anomalies.
That's what I thought.
I started out with the limitations of a Super 8 camera, no sound, and the fact that I was 12, 13 years old, of course, had its own limitations. The stories, though, still involved a hero and a villain, and that hasn't changed too much. It is the foundation upon which I build my ideas. Foundation. So in the beginning, I was doing a lot of straight science fiction, main villain, good guy type of stuff. And then later on, as I got older, I started getting into the angst of hanging on to your friends as life forces changes on you.
How long are you gonna babysit me, Al? You and I both know if Burma wants to get me, he will. The only way to get him first is to get him out in the open.
You just don't get it, do you? He's not gonna come out for you. For a few bucks, any of his thugs will do it for him. He's not gonna take the chance on getting hurt, especially from somebody he knows hates him. For God's sake, Darryl, learn to be more careful around this guy. You've got to be more responsible.
I'm a very responsible person. Want a beer?
Not at 9 in the morning.
And then eventually, as I got older, and the pressures of adulthood kicked in, about what is the nature of our existence.
So have you shipped out your work yet?
My work?
I've arranged for the shipping of the paintings. Paula's work is heavenly. I've arranged the negotiations, the preparations, and...
I'm sorry, Marty.
Sorry? Sorry for what?
Well, you know, Paula, an agent's life is hard.
An artist's life is hard. It's a lousy existence. Don't you understand what I've been going through?
We all understand, dearest.
You know, when I had been discovered by the art world and was given all those honors, I should have walked away. But it was nice to get the attention. It's what I thought I always wanted. But you know what? All it did was open wounds I never knew I had.
All of us carry wounds, Paula.
In fact, your wounds are the proof that you're still alive.
I'll admit that experiences can leave marks on our lives that are a testament to how we've lived, but not all of them are good. Some, in fact, kill your soul.
Some believe that good art is the result of suffering.
I hate that whole process. Should the artist be the art, live the art? Is that in fact living at all? I used to think I was an artist, but the older I get, the more I find myself hating the art.
So why do I do what I do? What is it about writing, painting, drawing, making films? I feel compelled to describe, draw. I have ideas and concepts that I want to share. And if the idea comes into my head, that's really where it came from. And I think that's where it comes from. But here's the tricky thing, that if I were to put into words why I love art, it's an outlet for expression. But it's essential, if you have this outlet, that creativity, why I make films, why I paint, and expressiveness. I'm happier for it, and I think it gives me more depth. And that's reflected in my films and in my art. I would like to think that the work will outlive me. I really do believe that as an artist. Well, the bottom line is expression. That's just who I am. It's not a point of elitism. It's as elusive as trying to define human nature. I recently had the fortune of having a beautiful baby girl. I'm happily married. But despite these incredible moments in my life, the original version of myself hasn't changed. The artist, the platform is not different. As far as my work habits go, I'm still the same person that will sacrifice sleep for creativity. Being a chronic insomniac has one advantage in which I actually have a block of time where the world is sleeping and I'm not. To this day, I still use that time to do my writing, my painting, my editing. Not being able to do my art whenever I want to is definitely a detriment to the creative process. Family still has to come first, but my overall love of art will never change. And as long as that feeling doesn't change, I'll always arrange to make the time to do both. There's another point I like to make, the point of ego. Everybody, from the humblest person to the most egotistical person, believes they have something to say. Ultimately, everyone has to ask themselves, are they the beginning and end of everything? To a degree, that's true, because we are just a bunch of collective experiences that we filter through our brains. Everything really does start with the individual person. Everything really does start with the individual. We now know that even our universe will come to an end. All things are finite. Art is a way of saying, I'm here, and this is what I'm seeing. It is a validation for the short term. The long term is not reserved for the living. It's all about enjoying the moment. I really do believe that this life is all we have. And I think my work reflects that. The temporariness of our life, the brief moment we exist, is our only opportunity to do something. And you could do something by just enjoying your life. As for the future, I can't see any other way of living other than to be creative. I would urge everyone to explore the creative side. I think art is a fundamental way of being. For those that don't want to draw or paint, I can totally understand. But for me, it's the only way of life I know, and it's the only way I want to live my life. mean, ultimately, all we have is this life. And in that context, how could you not appreciate the world that you live in? For me, I'm a mortal person, so therefore I'm going to be gone one day. It's nice to think that maybe a piece of my art, maybe a film, will live on past me, that someone will be able to view the work and see what I thought of things long after I'm gone. But that could be ego talking. And it's a mammalian concept, the idea of continuing. And I think for artists, we tap into that, the idea that there is something before and that there's something after us, and that some piece of us will live on. As Carl Sagan once put it so perfectly, we are the way for the universe to know itself.